Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amelia and I'm currently reading Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. So today I want to set up my March reading journal and then I want to talk a little bit about my TBR. So let's go ahead and get started with the reading journal. For March, I decided to do kind of like an adventure, like fantasy item kind of theme. If you can hear purring, please excuse that. That's just Gemma. She's decided that she needs to be in my lap right now. But anyway, so as you can see, I kind of already like sketched in what I was gonna do so that I could just go ahead and start doing like the line art and that sort of thing in the video. So I'm just now using kind of like a soft tip Pigma pen to go through and do all the lines. And I chose this one because it's kind of like a little bit of like a brush tip, so you can get like slightly different weights to the lines all with one pen, and it kind of gives it a more like organic feel, which I thought kind of suited this style of drawing. So you can see I've got like a little backpack. It's got like some little herbs in the pocket, and then I'm gonna do some weapons as well. Got a bow, got a sword, just kind of things that like made me think like adventure or like fantasy, that kind of thing. And so I'm only setting up this one spread here. The right page is kind of like a title slash cover, whatever you want to call it, and the left page is going to be my pages tracker. And the way I use my reading journal is mostly just like, so like I said, I track the pages I've read, but then I just make spreads for each book, or like the books that I have enough thoughts about to like make a spread, and then I just like usually include some like images or like doodles or whatever that remind me of the book, and then I write a little bit of what I thought and give it a rating. And I usually also include the like cover, an image of the cover, which I also do at the front. I'll show at some point in a later video my yearly setup, which includes way to track all the books that I read this year with like the little like the cover images. A lot of people do it that way. But anyway, now you can see my whole little sketch of the backpack and the weapons. And now I'm just adding some other little boxes. I kind of went for like a tiled sort of theme aesthetic setup. I don't know what to call it. And in the one on the right here, I'm gonna draw a little like fantasy inspired map. Well, I mean, it's just a map. It could be anything inspired, but you know, like a lot of fantasy books will include a sort of like hand-drawn style map in the cover to show you like where things are within the world. So that's kind of what I'm doing here. But I mean, I don't really actually know anything about like drawing or making maps, so it's just kind of what looked fun. Some little funky shapes, drew some mountains, added some rivers, some cities, that kind of thing. And then in the bottom right corner, I'm going to do the title, and then I'm going to go in with some color and fill the whole thing in. You'll see in a second. And I'm still using the same like brush marker pen thing. I guess you would call it a brush pen? I don't really know. There I am coming in with some color. Please excuse the top of my head. I have a really bad habit of like leaning super close over whatever I'm working on. So you'll probably see that from time to time. But yeah, I'm just starting to go into some color. I'm just using like the Crayola Super Tips. Well, I will use some other that you can see there. I'm using a bigger Crayola marker. That one is from the Colors of the World collection. I just have the ones with the wider barrel. I don't know if they come in the Super Tip form. They might. This was just the ones that I happened to see, so I bought them. But I also have like I think it's 100. Yeah, 100 pack of the Crayola Super Tips. And you can just get that like at Walmart around like back to school time. Usually you can get a good price on them. And that's a great way to get a lot of colors at once. But I do also have some more expensive markers, and I will use them in this. I have some of the Tombos, which are good. They're really great markers, but you can't beat the Crayola Super Tips for like the price and the amount of colors you get for the price. Anyway, please also continue to excuse the top of my head, as I need to learn not to put my whole face over top of what I'm working on, apparently. So I'm just going in and coloring now, trying to do some sort of like leathery tones with the bag, but I didn't want to make it like all the same brown, because then it would all just kind of like blend into itself and make it hard to like distinguish between the different parts of it. So I made the straps and the pocket on the front a slightly different color, and then we also have this like bedroll kind of thing was what I was going for on the top, and I chose another brown for that. There are kind of a lot of shades of brown going on here, so it's kind of a good thing that I had the colors of the world ones, although as you can see here I'm just using super tips. But anyway, I have done this design once before actually. I used it in my like beginning of the year setup in my regular bullet journal, so I knew sort of what I was doing with this, but I really wanted to use it again because I like it so much. I think it's really cute, the design. Sorry, I have cat hair flying everywhere because, as I mentioned, the cat is in my lap. But yeah, let me know if you want to see sometime my like regular bullet journal like setup or flip through or anything. I'm probably gonna do like a 6-month flip through of my reading journal, like 6 months through the year, so that I can show you like all the yearly spreads, and then as well as like the spreads I've made for each book. I don't usually spend like a ton of time on the book spreads. Like I'm still kind of working out what my like aesthetic for those is and how I want to do them, because I haven't actually done a reading journal before this year. This is my first one. So yeah, I'm still sort of nailing down all of what works for me. But so far I'm really just kind of trying to keep it simple month to month, just like the page tracking, the title page, and then whatever pages for books that I choose to do. I'm not like forcing myself to do a spread for every book I read, just like ones that I have thoughts on. I might in the future like divide up the pages into smaller ones for books that have like less to say about, like, sorry, not into smaller pages, like divide them up like into like boxes like you would see here or something else. But for now I've just been using like one side of a page, like not a whole spread, but like one page for each book. I did do a whole like spread for when I read the Live Ship Traders, I believe it's called, the whole series. Yeah, I did a whole spread for that and put them all together because I read them all in 1 month. So, but yeah, the notebook I'm using is by a company called Ferris Wheel Press. It's called like the Featherlight Notebook or something, and it's a square, which I think I saw Plant-Based Bride, I believe it is, who uses a square notebook for her reading journal. But like, man, it took me a long time to be able to actually find a square notebook, because the one she has is from Archer and Olive, and don't get me wrong, their designs are like really cute, but they cost so much and the shipping is so much, and like I just don't think that it's worth it personally for me at this point in my life. Maybe in the future I'll get one as like a splurge, but yeah, I really didn't want to spend the money on the Archer and Olive, so I found this one, and it's actually a Canadian company, so that makes me feel even better about purchasing from them. And I was able to get it from a local store too, like in my city, so support local, I guess, when you can. I hardly think Archer and Olive is suffering without my money, although they're kind of a smallish business too compared to some other stuff. Oh, the cat is leaving me, sad. Bye, kitty. Anyway, you can see here I am starting on my pages tracker. It's really simple. I just write down the date, I write down the title of the book, and then I am currently using like a bar graph form to record the number of pages, and then I usually also like I'll draw the bar up to wherever, and then I usually also write the exact number at the end of the bar, just because I find it interesting to have the exact number available, as well as like the general visual representation. So you can see I'm just drawing like that main shape now, as well as adding some box at the top for a title and a little bit of decoration. And now I'm going back and adding in the March title because I was waiting for that ink to dry a little bit. And I just try to use like a really kind of simple serif font that was kind of like tall and, I don't know, elegant, I guess. It's a different font than what I used in my bullet journal when I used this design, but I thought I would mix it up a little bit and try something different. So now I'm just coloring in the sword, working on the last few details of my pages tracker, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We're just about done now. I'm putting space on this tracker for up to 500 pages read in a day. It's not likely for me to read that many in a day, but I believe it did happen once last year that I read 500 pages or more. I think. Usually, I mean, really it depends on the day. Like some days I just like read like 20 pages just so that I can like keep up with like reading and like getting myself to actually do it. And then some days I just sit down and I read for hours and hours and hours. But here I am just erasing, and this is the final result. Let's talk a little bit about my March TBR. So the first book I have on my list is The Path of Daggers. This is book 8 of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. I'm sure most of you have probably heard of The Wheel of Time, but for those who haven't, I'll give you a quick summary. So Wheel of Time is an epic fantasy. It takes like 14 books or something, and it follows our main character, Randall Thor, as well as a large cast of side characters who get also a lot of page time. But he's essentially the chosen one. It's a good versus evil. He's trying to defeat the Dark One and save the world. So that's Wheel of Time. The next book I have is Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne. This is book 2 of the Bloodsworn series, which is a Norse-inspired fantasy series. And in the first book we followed a few main characters, and I don't want to give too much of it away, but at the end of it, this like big evil kind of got loose, so I'm assuming in this book we're going to follow our characters as they try to deal with that, whether they try to like kill it or recapture it, I don't know, we will find out. And then for the rest of the month I have actually like 4 books that are in transit to my library right now. I don't think I'm going to have time to read 6 books because I'm also in my final year of my degree, so I'm pretty busy. So I'm going to prioritize 2 of the books that are coming in from the library, and the first one is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, which the library describes as a series of endings has begun. It starts with the Great Red Rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land long familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon and where there is no mercy. So I've heard of this book a lot on the internet. It's very highly recommended. I've never actually read anything like a full book by N.K. Jemisin before. I read one short story and I really enjoyed that, so I'm looking forward to reading this. And then the second book that I'm going to prioritize from the library is The Invasion of the Tierling. This one is by Erica Johansson. I read the first book of this series, The Queen of the Tierling, I think last year, and it's essentially about a young girl who lives out in the woods, and then one day she has to go back to the capital city because she's actually the queen, and it follows her like kind of learning to deal with the court and actually like take power for herself instead of just being like a puppet queen, and trying to make life better for her people. So those are all the books I'm hoping to read this month. 4 is not like a lot, but as I said, I'm pretty busy, and these kind of ones are large-ish. This one's not that large, but it takes a while usually for me to read Wheel of Time because it's not the most quickly paced thing in the world. But yeah, so those are all the books I'm planning to read. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.